and welcome. Tonight, President Bola Tinubu seeks National Assembly's approval for external borrowing of $21.5 billion and a domestic bond issuance of 758 billion naira to fund critical projects. Violence, bullying and neglect have no place in the Nigeria of today. And that's President Bola Tinubu's message on Children's Day as he assures Nigerian children of a better future and environment. Brighter days are indeed ahead as the federal government and the World Bank commit additional $700 million for the Adolescent Girl Initiative for Learning and Empowerment Agile project. And British police arrest 53-year-old man for attempted murder after a car plowed into a crowd during Liverpool FC's Premier League victory parade.
On business news tonight, Central Bank of Nigeria unveils 3 new instruments to improve liquidity management and deepen Nigeria's non-interest finance institutions.
On sports news tonight, 3-time African champions Nigeria and 4-time champions Ghana renew 74-year-old rivalry as both sides clash in Wednesday's Unity Cup Invitational Tournament in London.
And from the nation's capital, National Executive Committee of the People's Democratic Party to reconvene in June to take a decision on the party's national secretary, which has generated a lot of tension in the party in recent times.
Tonight, we begin with a request from President Bola Tinubu to the National Assembly seeking legislative approval for a comprehensive external borrowing plan totaling $21.5 billion for the 2025 to 2026 fiscal period. That request, which is aimed at financing critical projects cutting across various sectors of the economy, especially infrastructure, health, education, and water supply, was read on the floor of both chambers of the National Assembly during Tuesday's plenary. In addition, the president is seeking a domestic bond issuance of 757.9 billion naira to settle outstanding national pension liabilities. Our National Assembly correspondent Gloria Umezuke reports.
The President of the Senate arrives at National Assembly for the first plenary of the week, and flanked by principal officers, he extends greetings and interacts with school children to commemorate the Children's Day as he makes his way to the chamber. A request from President Bola Tinubu is high up on the agenda. President Tinubu is seeking approval for an external borrowing plan of $21.5 billion, as well as 65 million euros for the 2025 and 2026 financial year.
It has become essential to pursue prudent external borrowing to close the financial shortfall. These funds will primarily be directed towards critical infrastructure projects, including sectors of power, railways, healthcare, amongst others.
In a separate letter, the president requests the Senate authorization of 757.9 billion naira for the issuance of federal government's bonds in the domestic debt market to settle outstanding pension liabilities.
It will enable the federal government of Nigeria meet its obligations under the CPS and restore confidence in the pension industry. Positive welfare effect on the retirees, as this will enable them to meet their basic needs, such as payments for routine drugs, rent, school fees of their children, and other family needs. This will improve the health and avoid untimely death of the retirees.
By the same token, same requests submitted in the House of Representatives were read.
Since the borrowing is for the settlement of federal government of Nigeria pension obligations to retirees, it is an essential investment in human capital development, which is allowed under the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2007.
Back in the Senate, a third correspondence emerges.
I write to request the kind approval of the National Assembly for capital raising of up to USD $2 billion in the domestic debt market towards the implementation of the Presidential Executive Order on foreign currency denominated financial instruments that is local issuance program, and related matters ordered.
The president further stated that recommendations for sectoral investments will be made by the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, subject to presidential approval and appropriation by the National Assembly. All three requests have been referred to the Committee on Local and Foreign Debts for consideration within 2 weeks. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu is now in Lagos for the 50th anniversary celebration of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and the commissioning of some projects executed by his administration. The president arrived at the presidential wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, at exactly 4:10 p.m. today and was received by the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, his deputy Kadri Hamzat, and executive council members of the state. The chief of staff to the president, Femi Gbajabiamila, senior special advisor to the president on sustainable development goals, Mrs. Adejoke Orelokwe Adefulire, and the Lagos State chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Cornelius Ojalabi, were also on hand to receive the president. The president inspected the guard of honor and proceeded to his residence in Lagos. And now to the celebration of this year's Children's Day. The President, Bola Tinubu, is making a very strong pledge to protect and empower Nigerian children, calling them the future of the country and a core focus of national development. In a heartfelt message, President Tinubu described the children as the foundation of Nigeria's future, promising that under his administration, their dreams, rights, and safety will always be priority. Citing troubling statistics, President Tinubu says that over 60% of school-age children in Nigeria face bullying or other forms of violence. He reaffirmed his administration's commitment to child protection through the Renewed Hope agenda, anchored by the recently launched National Plan of Action on Ending Violence Against Children 2024 to 2030. According to the president, quote, "I am pleased to note that the 36 states have domesticated the Child Rights Act, thus reflecting our collective resolve to protect and provide for the welfare of children. However, laws alone will not be sufficient to protect our children. We require a holistic approach where parents, teachers, caregivers, faith leaders, lawmakers, and citizens must take ownership." End of quote. He also called on Nigerians, especially stakeholders, to embed child rights in their budgets, their plans, and policies. And staying with the Children's Day celebrations, the federal government and the World Bank have unveiled an additional $700 million funding for the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment, which is called the Agile Project. And this brings the total investment in the initiative to $1.2 billion. The launch coincides with the 2025 Children's Day event, where the First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, reaffirmed the government's commitment to protecting the rights of the Nigerian child. Our State House correspondent, Empress Simon, reports.
A very distinguished.
The First Lady of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, is celebrating the 2025 Children's Day with children from across the country at the banquet hall of the State House, Abuja. The wife of the Vice President, Mrs. Nana Shatima, some state governors and deputy governors, federal and state government officials and their spouses, traditional rulers and international development partners are attending the event, which features performances by the children. It is also a show of creative prowess expressed through dancing, storytelling, and poetry.
Bullying is a plague, a mite of a silent killer. It shows of weaknesses and it's a cowardly, cruel game.
This year's Children's Day celebration focuses on building resilience against bullying. A 2018 UNESCO report estimated that over 60% of school-age children in Nigeria have experienced bullying, a situation the federal government says it is addressing.
To our children across the country, This day is for you. Never stop dreaming, never stop learning, and never stop believing in yourselves.
The Renewed Up agenda is not just a slogan. It's taking roots as a promise in every Nigerian child, family, and for women.
The event also coincides with the launch of an additional $700 million funding for the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment Agile Project, which aims to improve education and empowerment opportunities for adolescent girls in Nigeria.
We're sending a clear message to every girl in Nigeria. You are not invisible. You are invaluable. You can aspire as high as you wish.
It will enable the program to reach 21 states and, with God's support, 15 million children and an additional 25 million teachers, communities, parents, and the entire ecosystem.
The subnationals affirmed their support for the initiative.
We are also helping states generate and use gender disaggregated data to address disparities in enrollment, completion, and learning outcomes.
Thank you, the First Lady. Come. It's your day.
For the wife of the president, every child deserves a better life, and she notes her husband's commitment to making that happen for every Nigerian child.
Please go to school and complete your education. Staying in school and excelling in your studies will give you the knowledge and skills you need for a good future.
The highlights of the event are the presentations of awards to winners of various events featured in the 2025 Agile Games and the cutting of the Children's Day cake.
I'd like to hear some silence in the back.
From the banquet hall of the State House, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
Well, as the world marks International Children's Day, Nigerian children face a plethora of challenges, including health, education, hunger, abuse, and poverty. In this report, our correspondent Sarah Chimogo looks at the plight of the Nigerian child.
Nigeria has over 110 million children under the age of 18, according to the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. This is why the world considers Nigeria a country of the young. However, these future generations are confronted by several challenges, including acute malnutrition, food insecurity, lack of access to education, child labor, amongst others. According to the UNICEF 2024 Situation Analysis of Children and Adolescents in Nigeria, for every 1,000 live births, 41 babies don't survive. 40% of children under age 5 are stunted. 47% of children live in poor-income households. 67% experience multidimensional poverty. 2.1 million children have never been vaccinated, which is the highest globally. The report adds that 10.2 million children of primary school age and 8.1 million of secondary school age are out of school, while 90% of children under the age of 5 have experienced some form of violence, illustrating the critical need for reinforced child protection measures.
Lack of parental care, because if there's no parents, I don't think it can't work. The joy, the happiness will not be there, and lack of upkeeping. If they can't raise up to their needs, it won't work.
The Child Rights Act provides an opportunity to address most of these challenges. Though all states of the Federation domesticated the law, implementation remains fragmented.
The adults who are supposed to provide protection, who are supposed to protect these children, they are the ones you see harassing these children, abusing these children. And so I think the mindset of the adult has to be changed.
Everybody is involved, because one way or another, it's going to affect us indirectly or not when we don't put the right policies and structures in place in order for our children to be protected.
Government at various levels continue to express commitment to addressing these challenges.
His Excellency Governor Maimala Buni believes that with the Yobe State government pursuing appropriate policies, implementing people-oriented programs and transformative projects, the dreams of our children will become true, and that Yobe State and Nigeria will be the better for it.
As the Director General of National Orientation Agency, I established the Department of Abuse Rights and Narcotics, vested with the notable functions shown as prevention of various forms of abuse, especially child abuse, support children programs that foster education, health, growth, and resilience.
The theme for this year's Children's Day celebration is Little Footsteps, Big Future. These big futures heavily depend on the relevant authorities to take action to protect them. Sarah Chimugu, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, court convicts and sentences Nasir Ali, son of former PDP chairman Ahmadu Ali, to 14 years imprisonment over a 2.2 billion naira subsidy fraud. Please join us again. Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television from Lagos. A reminder of our main stories. President Bola Tinubu seeks National Assembly's approval for external borrowing of $21.5 billion and a domestic bond issuance of 758 billion naira to fund critical projects. Violence, bullying, and neglect have no place in the Nigeria of today. That's President Bola Tinubu's message on Children's Day as he assures Nigerian children of a better future and environment. Brighter days are ahead, indeed, as the federal government and the World Bank commit additional $700 million for the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment, Agile project. And British police arrest 53-year-old man for attempted murder after a car plowed into a crowd during Liverpool FC's Premier League victory parade. As we still stay in the mood of celebrations in other parts of the country where the Children's Day celebration took place, from Anambra to Edo, Imo and Abia, where children converged on several venues to celebrate their day. It was a celebration galore as they had a fun-filled day.
Pupils, students and teachers from primary and secondary schools across Edo State packed the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium stands for the 2025 Children's Day celebration. Football matches under the Governor's Cup Akwa Ibom 2025 tag feature male and female categories, where Ogbe Secondary School emerged winners for the boys, just as Idia College clinched top spot in the girls category. The traditional march past was a major highlight. Governor Monday Okpewolo, in his speech, advises the children to dream big, as the government is ready to support their realization with the necessary policies and programs.
Today, we celebrate your energy, your dream, and your hope you bring to our future. Your safety and well-being matters to us, and we are committed to protecting your dreams. Always remember, you are never too young to dream big. You are the leaders, daughters, teachers, and innovators of tomorrow. So I encourage you to study hard. Be kind to one another and never stop dreaming. We are proud of you. We believe in you, and we will keep doing our best to give you every chance to succeed. Smart School, one of our smart schools.
It's a beautiful day for the children in Anambra State, as the 2025 Children's Day celebrations turns out to be a pleasurable experience for them, as Governor Chukwuma Soludo and his wife Nonye host them at the newly commissioned Solution Fund City in Awka, the state capital. The Solution Fund City, decorated in appealing colors of green and white, comes alive with numerous activities beginning with the governor inspecting the guard of honor mounted by the children.
Ibom 9 for primary school. For primary school 19.
There's a march past and a tour of the newly commissioned Fun City. After that, the governor re-echoes President Bola Tinubu's call for collective action against child bullying.
Building a bullying-free generation could not have been more timely, as it speaks directly to the culture we are building. A culture where every child feels safe, respected and heard, both in physical spaces and digital communities. Just to be clear, violence, bullying, and neglect have no place in Nigeria of today.
In neighboring Imo State, children converged on the government house in Owerri for this year's Children's Day celebration. Addressing the children, the wife of the state governor, Chioma Uzodimma, reaffirms the state government's commitment to child welfare and educational development, urging the children to embrace discipline, patriotism, and self-belief.
I pray that our children will grow and be taught by God, and that they will grow and make us so proud, even as a state and also to their parents. And I always tell children they can be whatever they set their mind on, they can be whatever they want to be. All they have to do is to focus, follow God, obey their parents, and trust God, and also trust in themselves.
Abia State is not left out of the Children's Day celebration. In his address at the event at the Umuahia Township Stadium, Governor Alex Oti promises to revitalize the state education sector.
We are holistically rebuilding the entire learning architecture in the state to answer to the demands of the new global order. In no distant future, we shall start delivering the 20 schools we are converting to smart schools to set a new benchmark for teaching and learning in the state's public school system.
Children's Day, which is celebrated in Nigeria on May the 27th annually, is dedicated to celebrating children all over the world. And with this year's theme as celebrating little footsteps, big future, the sky is indeed the starting point for children across Nigeria to aspire for the top.
Well, we say Happy Children's Day to all the children across the globe. Now we head to the courts. The Lagos State Special Offences Court sitting in Ikeja has convicted and sentenced Maman Nasir Ali, the son of former PDP National Chairman Ahmadu Ali, and the Sierra Leonean Christian Taylor to 14 years imprisonment each over a 2.2 billion naira oil subsidy fraud. Justice Mojisola Dada sentenced the duo alongside an oil firm, Nasman Oil Services Limited, after the court found them guilty of an amended 57-count charge brought against them by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The defendants were first arraigned before the court in 2012 on a 49-count charge of conspiracy to obtain money from false pretense, obtaining by forgery, and the use of false documents. In her judgment, Justice Dada says she found the evidence presented by the prosecution compelling, ruling that the action of the convicts not only defrauded the government, but also undermined the integrity of Nigeria's oil subsidy program. The judge further issued a warrant of arrest of two other suspects, Oluwaseun Ogunbambo and Olabisi Abdulafiz, who are still at large. The news at 10 continues now as we head over to Abuja Studios, where Gloria Omezoke is standing by. Hello, Gloria.
Many thanks, Anne. The National Executive Committee of the People's Democratic Party has held its 99th meeting with a resolution to reconvene in June to take a decision on the position of the National Secretary, which has caused much tension in the party in recent times. The acting national chairman of the party, who briefed journalists after the meeting in Abuja, confirms the receipt of the Southeast Zonal Committee report, which recommended Mr. Ude Okoye as the candidate for the party's office of the National Secretary. According to the acting chairman, the National Executive Committee also received and ratified the composition of a zoning committee that will oversee the PDP zoning arrangement for principal officers ahead of the party's national convention later in the year.
amidst growing tensions within the party. The leadership of the People's Democratic Party convenes the latest meeting of the National Executive Committee in Abuja. The meeting is the climax of a series of meetings by the National Working Committee, the Board of Trustees, and the National Caucus of the party, where the final decision was taken. The meeting is attended by some serving governors of the party, National Assembly members, former governors, and members of the Board of Trustees. However, some prominent members of the party, including its 2023 presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar and the FCT minister Nyesom Wike, are absent. The acting national chairman sets the agenda for the day.
This NEC is going to consider just 3 agenda, which was adopted by the caucus, and also have the opportunity to fix another NEC immediately to come back and consider other issues that are also germane for this party.
Other leaders of the party appeal to members to embrace reconciliation as a solution to the crisis within the party.
Divisions, mistrust, and lingering grievances within our ranks have at times hampered our progress and blurred our vision. We must recommit to healing these wounds and restoring faith among our members.
The BOT chairman has spoken deeply about tolerance, closing rank, humility. We need to do that with the hindsight that we are the only party standing.
After the opening remarks, the meeting proceeds into a technical session, which was not open to the media. A few moments later, the PDP acting national chairman briefs journalists on the resolutions reached by the committee.
Next, also received the resolution of the Southeast Zonal Executive with regard to the issue of the National Secretary and to be considered and deliberate upon in the next NEC, which is slated for 30th soon. NEC also received and ratified the composition of the committee on the zoning of national offices ahead of the national convention.
Members now look ahead to the next meeting on June the 30th, where they hope that decisions will be taken on issues such as the position of the National Secretary, recommendations for expulsion by the Ikimi-led disciplinary committee, among other critical issues.
To security, and in a renewed commitment to prioritizing the safety and security of the nation, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kayode Egbetokun, has commissioned 50 state-of-the-art operational vehicles for the explosive ordnance disposal, chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear unit of the Nigeria Police Force. Speaking at the commissioning in Abuja, the IGP highlights the bravery and dedication of the operatives, stating that the commissioning marks a further step in the holistic reform agenda to reposition the Nigeria Police Force as a modern, technologically driven institution capable of effectively addressing the nation's evolving security landscape.
Today is a deliberate and strategic investment in the security architecture of our great nation. The EOD-CBRN unit remains a critical component in our counter-insurgency and counter-terrorism framework. With the rising threats posed by terrorism, the persistent proliferation of improvised explosive devices, and the potential emergency of chemical and biological threats, it has become imperative to expand and modernize this highly specialized arm of the Nigerian Police Force. The operatives of this unit are among our most courageous officers, often the first to arrive at the scene of potential disaster, whether responding to bomb threats, managing hazardous materials, or securing critical public infrastructure. Their heroism, professionalism, and sacrifices form the backbone of our rapid response and threat neutralization strategy across the nation.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Central Bank of Nigeria announces rollout of 3 new instruments targeted at deepening Nigeria's non-interest financial market. But that's in business news. Do join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. To infrastructural developments now. Governor Uba Sani of Kaduna State has commissioned the Gakarko Township Road in Gakarko local government area of the state, emphasizing his administration's focus on investing in rural infrastructure to boost economic and social life for residents. Speaking during the commissioning ceremony, Governor Sani disclosed that his administration has been able to award 79 road projects across the 23 local government areas of the state within 2 years in office.
Joy, celebration and gratitude filled the air as residents of Kagorko local government area rolled out the drums to welcome a long-awaited development, the commissioning of a township road constructed by the administration of Governor Uba Sani. For decades, poor road infrastructure left the people in hardship and isolation. But that chapter closed as Governor Uba Sani arrived in the community to inaugurate the newly completed road, a powerful symbol of inclusion and progress for a region neglected by past administrations for over 20 years.
Your Excellency, these roads serve as a vital lifetime for the people of Kagarko, facilitating the smooth and efficient transportation of transportation while bolstering the local economy. It must be stated here that your swift action in restoring the power in Kagarko local government after about 3 years of blackout is commendable.
For the elated governor, the Kagorko Road is amongst the 79 road projects that were initiated by his administration as part of a broader strategy to boost connectivity, support rural economies, and improve quality of life of residents of Kaduna State.
We have completed about 25 roads to date. And Kagorko local government, and this very important road, is one of the 25 roads we have completed since we began the construction of this very important roads. We are aware of the fact that this very important road will connect markets, connect our people with basic infrastructure like hospitals, as well as schools. And it will also help our farmers to connect with our farms.
He also announces the restoration of electricity supply to Kagorko, which has been in total blackout for 3 years.
We have noticed very serious infrastructural deficits between the rural local governments and the urban local governments. And that is the reason why this very important road is one out of many roads we are going to construct, not only in Kagorko, but many other rural local governments in Kaduna State.
Governor Sani then proceeds to officially commission the road, marking a historic moment for the community. Governor Uba Sani concluded its visit by promising the speedy completion of 54 ongoing road projects across the state and pledged that more will soon begin, ensuring that no community is left behind in his rural transformation agenda.
The state governor, Pastor Umo Eno, has restated his administration's commitment to even development across the 31 local government areas of the state. Governor Eno gave the assurance as part of activities to mark his second year in office.
It's a season of projects commissioning to mark the second year anniversary of the Umo Eno administration in Akwa Ibom State.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Residents of the state are gathered here to witness the commissioning of the 14.28-kilometer Ikot-Ubo Audot Road traversing Insitobium and Insitatai local government areas of the state, and the primary health care center at Ikotekwere, Insitobium local government area of Akwa Ibom state. The people are in high spirits as they sing and dance in appreciation of the projects. The Commissioner for Works and his counterpart in the Ministry of Health give an overview of the projects lined up for inauguration. For Governor Eno, making life better for the people of Akwa Ibom State is the way to go.
Construction of this road is a testament to the fact that we are linking every part of the state to the center, to Uyo, to Abuja. That is what we are doing by road construction and otherwise. We keep linking the states to the center, and that's what we are doing. So for the people of Surubio, Zretai, Eket, Barenin, Ikorabasi, Oron, all of us, and indeed the state will continue to serve you because that's why you elected us. And it doesn't matter where the pendulum swings, we are who we are. And we pursue the Arise agenda. And that is in the spirit of a united Akwa Ibom. It is in that unity that we have what? Progress. And that's what we'll continue to do. For the benefit of our people, to the glory of God, in the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
More projects are lined up for commissioning in the coming days as part of activities to mark Governor Eno's second year in office.
And that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to Anne in Lagos for more on the news.
Thank you, Gloria. To other stories here in Lagos, Duchess International Hospital has performed a successful complex open heart surgery operation on a 5-year-old boy known as Master D, who was born with a life-threatening congenital heart condition known as tetralogy and Fallot, TOF, a significant heart defect that affects the normal flow of blood through the heart and the lungs. Speaking at a press briefing on the medical breakthrough, the Chief Executive Officer of the hospital, Dr. Adetokunbo Shitabe, explains that the complex surgical procedure was successfully performed in stages over a combined period of 14 hours. According to him, the procedure was carried out by a combined multidisciplinary team of specialized cardiac surgeons, cardiac anesthetists, and intensivists, led by a consultant pediatric cardiac surgeon, Dr. Mudashir Salami.
Management, staff, friends and well-wishers of Duchess International Hospital are gathered here to celebrate what has been acknowledged as a giant medical field, the successful complex open heart surgery operation on a 5-year-old boy known as Master D. Chief Executive Officer of the hospital, Dr. Adetokunbo Shitabe, first speaks of the enormity of personnel and equipment required to perform the operation.
He was thoroughly evaluated by a multidisciplinary team comprising specialist pediatricians, pediatric cardiology, pediatric intensivists, anesthesiology, a perfusionist, and of course the pediatric cardiac surgeon.
The lead pediatric cardiac surgeon, Dr. Mudashir Salami, gives a brief account of how the operation was carried out.
Ideally, when you open somebody's heart, on the right side, you should see like a opening that just pushes blood into the pulmonary artery, which is the pipe that takes blood to the lungs. In this case, it was like a pinhole that you can see hardly any blood going to the lungs. I think this is why we have this problem. So we have to open up that pinhole. We dissect, we cut and cut and cut until we get what we think was adequate size.
In most developed health systems around the world, this heart condition will be treated by an open heart surgery operation within 6 to 9 months of birth to prevent further complications. But in Master D's case, it took 5 years before it was presented at Duchess International Hospital. Mother of the patient, Olutokwe Adetono, thanks Duchess International Hospital for saving the life of her child.
I'm
collaborative with Doctors International Hospital. In fact, they had a world-class state of equipment. Their teamwork is top-notch. Their nurses, the doctors, their welfare, their facility is top-notch.
Dr. Adetukumbo Shitabe speaks further about the collective work put in that resulted in the successful surgery.
Master D survived, of course, because of the combined multidisciplinary effort and the robustness of the service here. Everyone involved in the service was absolutely at the top of their game. The lead pediatric cardiac surgeon, the deputy surgeon, the perfusionist, the intensivist, everyone had an interest in ensuring that this worked, and it worked well. And we're extremely pleased.
In less than 4 years of its existence, the Duchess International Hospital, through its cutting-edge medical technology and experienced teams of specialized clinical, non-clinical, and allied healthcare professionals, has continued to be a shining light in the delivery of quality healthcare in Nigeria and sub-Saharan Africa.
We head to River State now. In a significant development, the West Africa Container Terminal on air has received a vessel from the Hapag-Lloyd International Shipping Line on its second call in the port in River State. Speaking during the call ceremony, the CEO of WACT APM Terminals and the MD of Hapag-Lloyd Shipping both lauded the move as one that will facilitate and improve trade in the eastern part of Nigeria.
Gathered at this venue along the quayside of the Onne port in River State are officials of the WACT APM terminals, Hapag-Lloyd Shipping Company, customs officers, and other stakeholders at the Onne port. It's the call of the Sheku Star, one of Hapag-Lloyd's 4,000 TEU capacity vessels to the port, and the company's MD, Alawat Himat, says they are strategically positioning themselves to serve eastern Nigeria.
East Nigeria is very, very important because of not only the population, but also the trading networks here in East Nigeria calls for our presence, especially now that the infrastructure is much better than it used to be in the past. So now when you have a terminal like this and another one, obviously it means that our ships can come in safely. We can do business here.
Frederick Klinker, the CEO of APM Terminals and the MD of the West Africa Container Terminals, expressed readiness to serve the East Nigerian market as they add Hapag-Lloyd to the list of 5 shipping lines they already service.
What we're really trying to do is to lift the East Nigerian market. There's a lot of trade potential that requires better logistic solutions. We've invested 115 million in this terminal over the last few years, and we have created a lot of capacity that we want to bring to this market in order to make it easier to trade and for the economy of this region to grow.
It's a wonderful addition to the on-air market. If you look at WACT today, we have already 5 shipping lines calling us. This adds 1 more, which means more customers for our customers to choose from. That is more shipping line customers for our landside customers to choose from. It's a healthy competition in the market, and we're looking forward to it.
The Onne port manager weighs in on the conversation, saying that this is a major boost for trade in this part of the country.
If we have their fleets coming to Onne, what it means is that it's going to bring trade to the economy. And so it's a welcome development. It's a good achievement for us as a port to have an additional liner to join the liners that have been coming into the port. So it's good for us.
Mr. Himat assures that this will be a weekly development as APM WACT terminals celebrate this major partnership with a view to boosting trade and commerce in this part of the country. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
Let's delve into the world of business now. Dominic Iwewu is standing by.
Thank you, Anne. On business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria has released 3 new instruments aimed at improving liquidity management and deepening Nigeria's non-interest financial markets, such as Islamic banking. According to the latest documents issued by the CBN, the new instruments include the Nigerian Non-Interest Financial Institutions Master Repurchase Agreement, the CBN Non-Interest Asset-Backed Securities, and the Central Bank Non-Interest Notes. The Apex Bank says the tools are expected to strengthen the adoption and operational efficiency of non-interest banking instruments across the country. From there, we head to the local stock markets, which dropped to historical feats at the close of today's trading session. Will Ibong has the details.
Welcome to the stock market reports. The NGX has broken new records, recording first up first. The all-share index hit a new all-time high today of 111,000 points, rising by 1.57%. I'm still catching my breath here, still swaying from the high effects, and this definitely rubbed off on the market cap. We see it sitting pretty at 70 trillion naira for the first time ever, not ever seen on the NGX. So let's do the grand unveiling, shall we? Today, Airtel Africa bought 100,000 units of its shares as part of its $100 million share buyback program announced on 23rd of December last year. And this single act triggered a shift for the markets as the stock closed on full beat, gaining to 115 naira, 60 kobo to close at 2,372 naira, 50 kobo. A massive move by Airtel Africa there. Other stocks contributed to this brilliant performance. We see the tier 1 banks bringing on their A game today for the banking sector, up 0.72%. And we see Okomo Oil lifting the oil and gas counter, while Aradel boosted the oil and gas index. NACO is also on the rise, let's not forget that. Now, it's a roller coaster for markets right now, and we can only watch and see if this momentum can be sustained. And those are the highlights for today. Will Ibong signing out.
Now let's find out what the closing performance of other major global markets was for today. And that's it on Business News. Back to Anne for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you, Dominic. Police in the United Kingdom have arrested a 53-year-old male suspect on suspicion of murder. Here's Simon Pizzi with more international news and around the world in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. A controversial new aid distribution group backed by the US and Israel has begun working in Gaza. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation said lorry loads of food had been delivered to secure sites and that it had begun distribution to people. It did not say where or how much aid had been handed out. The group, which uses armed American security contractors, aims to bypass the UN as the main supplier of aid to the 2.1 million Palestinians in Gaza, where experts are warning of a looming famine after an Israeli blockade that lasted 11 weeks. The United Nations and many aid groups have refused to cooperate with the plans, which they say contradict humanitarian principles and appear to weaponize aid.
How are the elderly who have been starved supposed to walk miles and miles to access humanitarian assistance? How are children who have no parents supposed to enter what may be militarized zones to collect assistance?
Appears to be an effort to feed just enough Gazan civilians so that the starvation is then targeted more precisely at Hamas and its operatives.
A naval court in Greece has charged 17 coast guards over the deadliest migrant boat disaster in the Mediterranean Sea for a decade. Up to 650 people were feared to have drowned when the overcrowded Adriana fishing vessel sank near Pylos off the Greek coast in the early hours of the 14th of June 2023. Survivors said Coast Guards had caused their boat to capsize in a failed attempt to tow it and then silenced witnesses. The Greek authorities have always denied the claims. The UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer says the whole country stands with Liverpool after scenes of joy turned into utter horror and devastation on Monday night. Almost 50 people were injured, including 4 children, after a car ploughed into a crowd during Liverpool FC's Premier League victory parade. 4 people are still in a serious condition in hospital. A 53-year-old white British man believed to be the driver of the vehicle has been arrested.
The car stopped at the scene and a 53-year-old white British man from the Liverpool area was arrested. We believe him to be the driver of the vehicle. Extensive inquiries are ongoing to establish the circumstances leading up to the collision, and it is vital that people do not speculate or spread misinformation on social media.
North Korea has criticised the US's plan for a futuristic Golden Dome missile shield, saying it could turn outer space into a potential nuclear warfield. The defence system, which President Donald Trump plans to unveil by the end of his term, is aimed at countering next-generation aerial threats to the US, including ballistic and cruise missiles. Pyongyang's foreign ministry accused Washington of being hell-bent to militarise outer space. King Charles has delivered a significant speech in Canada's Parliament, offering support in the country's dispute with the US President Donald Trump. The King and Queen Camilla received a warm welcome when they arrived in Ottawa on the royal couple's first trip to Canada since the start of their reign. Soon after arriving, the King held a meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney, who was recently elected on a wave of anti-Trump public opinion. Meanwhile, a Canadian man has been sentenced to almost 2 years in prison for stealing a famous photograph of Sir Winston Churchill, known as the Roaring Lion. Jeffrey Wood had pleaded guilty to stealing the original print from Ottawa's Chateau Laurier Hotel between Christmas 2021 and early January 2022. He also admitted to committing forgery. Ottawa police said it was found last year in Genoa, in Italy, in the possession of a private buyer who was unaware it was stolen. The image depicts a frowning Churchill, who was 67 at the time, shortly after he delivered a speech to the Canadian Parliament. And the Nepalese Sherpa Kami Rita, also known as Everest Man, has scaled Mount Everest for the 31st time, breaking his own record for the most climbs up the world's tallest peak. The 55-year-old, who was guiding a group of Indian Army officials up the mountain, reached its 8,849-metre summit at 4 a.m. local time on Tuesday. Kami Rita first summited Everest in 1994, guiding a commercial expedition, and has made the peak almost every year since. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thank you, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. The Super Eagles may not have beaten their West African foes, Ghana, in 18 years. Super Eagles forward Ahmed Musa is confident the 3-time African champions triumph in Wednesday's Unity Cup Invitational Tournament in London. Both teams bring a number of critical elements into the encounter, taking place at Brentford's G-Tech Community Stadium, including a 74-year-old rivalry in which Ghana have smiled more than Nigeria. Wednesday's clash in West London is another opportunity for the Super Eagles to prove their mettle, with head coach Eric Schell having called an interesting blend of home-based talent and boys based overseas. Defending champions Team Delta has ended the day at the ongoing 22nd National Sports Festival with a firm grip at the medals table. Delta State ended Tuesday's event with 86 gold, 53 silver and 68 bronze medals, and have won 206 medals so far. On the second spot is Bayelsa with 56 gold, 38 silver and 46 bronze medals, and they've won 140 medals in total. Finishing in the third top 3 for today is host Ogun State, who have won 49 gold medals, 39 silver, and 47 bronze medals. That sports is back to you, Anne.
Thank you, Chris. And the main news again. President Bola Tinubu is seeking the National Assembly's approval for external borrowing of $21.5 billion and a domestic bond issuance of 758 billion naira to fund critical projects. President Bola Tinubu has also assured Nigerian children the violence, bullying and neglect have no place in the Nigeria of today. And this was contained in his message on Children's Day. So that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Anne Mwawadu. Have a restful night.